What does it actually look like to break a generational curse? We've been hearing a lot about this in spiritual paths and spiritual groups and spiritual journeys, and people seem to think that they know what they're talking about, and some of them don't. Some of them are like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. So let me give you kind of a background story of what happened to me a few weeks ago, and I've given it some time to kind of integrate for me to really know if this is for me and if this is the right way to describe this. But I got the green light from my guides to go ahead and share this, so that's what I'm going to do. A few weeks ago, I experienced just a regular trigger from my ex-husband, and it was nothing new. It was nothing new that had happened to me. It was similar patterns from the past, but it triggered me differently this time. And I ended up in this like state of rage. And I've never really experienced rage like this before, ever in my life. I've been angry in the past. I'm not quick to anger anymore, but this was like deep rage. I was at a point where I was pacing in my house with this rage inside of me. And I decided I wasn't going to go outside and punish my body and run it out or work out at the gym until I didn't feel that rage anymore. It was calling me to sit in this ugly, awful rage. And it took a little while, and it was very uncomfortable. And I told everyone around me that know me and are close to me that they weren't going to hear from me for a couple of days because I really needed to sit with it. And I was fearful, I was scared, I was angry, I was hating everything. Like stuff I love, I hated. Like just, it was rage, but I could tell it didn't belong to me. It didn't come from an ego place. It wasn't like a wounding of my ego. It was just pure rage. And it wasn't till maybe a week or two later that a really good friend of mine had said, but do you understand that that's what it looks like when you're healing something that doesn't belong to you? This is ancestral stuff. This is generational stuff that's been passed down, and you are just brave enough and strong enough to be able to finally heal it. And when I reflected back onto the trigger, it was not my ex-husband's fault. It was my own, but it wasn't my fault. Fault isn't really the right word. It was something within me and my DNA and my past lives that it was my turn to step up and to face it, right? And in the past, they might have numbed or drank or pretended and pushed it back down and passed away, and then it passed on to the next generation, and it wasn't truly sat with and healed. And so I spent time with it and waited for the right time to feel like it was worthy of sharing. And so when we talk about healing ancestral generational curses or wounds, it's a full body experience where it just doesn't make sense. It's not who you are. It's not a part of you. And you just know it doesn't belong to you. Like you're carrying it. It's there, but it doesn't belong to you. And you're just the one to express it and to let it out. So it was really important that I didn't lash out at the people around me, and I didn't point fingers at anybody, and I didn't let small things around me in my environment to affect how I showed up. That's my tea beeping. I feel like that's confirmation. It was really important not for me to not repeat the pattern of this ancestral wound and inflict that onto someone else, including my children. And after I really did sit with it and really felt it and really let it go in the way that I do in my own rituals, I knew I needed to give it time before I could share properly. It's 444 on the timer. Like, I knew that I needed to let it really feel like the wound was closed. Now it's a scar. And not that I had stitched it together and now I'm going to share with everybody. it was really about making sure that I really allowed it to close and feel like it was an ending of a cycle. It was complete. And I actually do feel lighter. I feel more myself, a different version of me, but I do feel more myself. And I'm very aware now of what it means to have a generational curse or wound, and how important it is that we allow ourselves to really honor it, sit with it, know that for generations, at least in my family, the women in my family carried this rage and weren't able to express it, weren't allowed or feared for their lives because of it, and they held it. And how painful that must have been. And I can't hold resentment or frustration that I had to be the one. I see it as an honor, as a gift, that they found me strong enough to be able to hold it and to sit with it and to give it what it needed. And so if you're experiencing this, if you're finding yourself not really yourself, but you're dealing with something, maybe it's not rage, maybe it's just this deep, pure sadness or deep anxiety that it just doesn't feel like it belongs to you, then you're probably healing something that doesn't belong to you. But you've just been assigned to be the one to heal it this time. And so try to see it as an honor, as a gift, and that it stops with you. And I've made that determination, and I've tried to take steps now in my life to make sure that I don't repeat the same process with my children and they don't have to do this too. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this makes sense, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.